What is the current definition of an accredited investor, and how does one become one? Let's talk about that first, and then we'll get into some of the newer developments. So an accredited investor generally is someone who has $1 million in net worth, excluding their primary residence, or if you've earned $200,000 the last 2 years with a reasonable expectation of earning that much this year. And if you want to combine that income with your spouse, it's $300,000. Interesting thing is you have to actually pick and choose which method you're going to pick over the last 2 years. So if you want to do it just you got to do that for all 3 years. If you want to combine it with your spouse, you've got to do that consistently throughout the 3 years. If you're an entity, generally if all the investors or all the members of that entity are accredited, and then the entity itself is going to be an accredited investor, or if the entity has $5 million of assets, then it will qualify as an accredited investor, so long as those assets were not just raised for the purpose of making an investment, because that would kind of be a way around that. So that's where we were until 2020. And then in 2020, the SEC updated that rule and gave us a couple of other ways that you can become an accredited investor. And those are if you are literally have certain licenses for securities licenses, Series 7, Series 82, Series 65. Those are the three that the SEC said, hey, if you have those licenses and you are registered with your particular state and you're in good standing with your particular state, then you will be, by definition, an accredited investor. So that's one of the things that you can do as a non-accredited right now. If you don't have the economic wherewithal to qualify, then you should look into one of these licenses. And with my research, I think Series 65 tends to be the easiest one to do. It's actually not that complicated. When I say easiest, doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's the easiest. First of all, it doesn't require you to be sponsored by any firm. You can create your own firm. You can just take the exam, and then you can go ahead and apply with the state. I would recommend that you hire a consultant. I mean, it's still a little bit muddled. I did a step-by-step checklist, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes below, sort of a step-by-step checklist of how to get that Series 65. But if you don't have the income or net worth right now, the easiest way to become an accredited investor, if you're not, is to take that Series 65 and get licensed. That's where we currently stand today. Now, there's been some rumblings that $1 million threshold is going to be increased. There were some reports last year that said that they were considering upping that to 10 million. I don't think it's going to be that much. In fact, if you read the articles from those articles like a year ago, if you really do a deep dive, you'll see that it really wasn't 10 million. It was more clickbaity, which is fine, but they are looking to address the accredited investor definition. They are, I think, going to be increasing it. I believe that number is going to be closer to 3 million, just because the $1 million number is from 1982. And it's been a while, over 40 years now that definition has been in place. And if you just adjust for inflation, that $1 million number gets to almost 3 million. So my guess is that they're going to eventually increase the definition to 3 million. And so if you don't qualify as an accredited investor anymore, then you're going to have this alternate route of getting certified. Now, the SEC was supposed to be rolling out these certification programs. You know, obviously somebody has to have the license to give the exams and to actually certify people. That just never came out. And from what I've been reading, it's really sort of a battle between those who want to have increasing this limit versus the people who want the certification. This is kind of a striking a balance. So I do believe that when they do actually come out with the new increased accredited investor, assuming they do that at that point, they'll actually start rolling out the actual certification programs. If you enjoyed this video and you want to check out the entire episode, click here. And if you want to see another similar video, click here.